What's up, comic book fans? And welcome to Comics Icons. Now, JJ, what they call me. And today, we got more Hellverine. This time with the first issue of his brand new ongoing series. And if you guys missed my videos on the origin of this new version of the Hellverine after the demon was initially bonded to Wolverine and now to his son Dayon, then I'll put a link at the top of the screen and a card at the end of the video as well to that series. But when we left off with the series, Dayon had finally started coming to terms with his new reality as host of the demon Bagragul, as well as the fact that since Dayon was previously torn apart by Sabretooth during the Sabretooth War story arc, he can't survive without the demon now bonded to him. So if you guys are ready to see Dayon's new life, as well as the punishment that the Hellverine dishes out, then you guys know what time it is. Let's get it. So when the issue kicks off, Dayon tries to get sleep anywhere he can, but he constantly has to stay on the move because every night's the same. He goes to sleep for a little bit as Dayon, and then wakes up with his skull on fire as the Hellverine and ends up burning down everything. I don't belong anywhere, he thinks. Nor does he have any idea of who or what he is. And he really never has, honestly. He's known pain and death his entire life. His mother died while she was pregnant with him, so he was raised by another family, and everyone in the village called him Dayon, meaning bastard mongrel. But he would end up taking out one of those persecutors, as well as his adoptive mother who hated him, which in turn made him hate himself and embrace the name Dayon, because he felt he deserved it, causing him to specialize in dishing out hate and pain. And for years, he blamed his blood father Wolverine for everything, and then spent years hunting his father. So he's always had demons, he thinks, but not like this time, because he's now carrying a literal demon, which enables him to now feel evil as kind of an infernal sense. And that demon takes delight in it, as we see him currently in a convenience store just as he's getting robbed. And when the assailant starts wielding a knife, and Dayon hears his thoughts of taking the money and killing everyone there, Dayon walks this dude down and simply touches the guy's wrist and reads the guy's rap sheet back to him, almost like a Ghost Rider penance stare, that he's killed 7 people and buried some of them in shallow graves while hiding others in the woods, and even hacked up one and threw them in the trash. So while Dayon holds the guy's wrist, he just straight up incinerates the dude. See, the demon inside of him, Bagragul, he doesn't have a voice to speak to Dayon, but instead it's more of a sick, poisoned feeling that Dayon lives with. And then when evil is close by, which we see as he rides through the state of Georgia and comes across a semi-trailer full of kidnapped victims, the demon flames to life and takes control, leaving Dayon as only a spectator in his own body to just watch. And when he had become the Hellverine and ended up being recruited by Project Hellfire, which again you guys can see in the previous Hellverine video series on the channel to catch up, he ended up leaving his father Wolverine behind, even though Wolverine wanted to help. And he also rejected Project Hellfire's recruitment attempt, all because he knew that he wouldn't be safe and he wanted to find some answers all on his own. Like, what is his life gonna be like going forward? And is he just as evil as those he punishes? And should he even exist? But as he sits in some dark woods in North Carolina thinking about all of this, he sees a sobbing kid. So he gets up and starts to go and check on the kid, who starts to run away from Dayon, leading him to a strange cabin that sits on the water. The same water that Dayon then sees the kid appear to be drowning in. So without even thinking twice, he dives into the water to save the child. But then at the bottom of the water, he finds that same child along with a bunch of other children, all tied down with chains, drowned. The little girl's spirit wanted Dayon to find them all. So of course, this brings Bagragul to the front of the class. And as Dayon swims back up, the water begins to boil as the Hellverine arises from the water and heads toward that lone home in the woods. As he thinks to himself that every time the Hellverine takes over, Dayon feels relieved of some pressure that's been boiling inside of him. Almost like Bagragul needs an outlet, and its hunger needs to be satisfied. And as he approaches the home, the man inside has no idea what's coming for him. But as he takes a sip of his beer, it's boiling hot, causing him to drop the can just before the Hellverine comes crashing in through his door. And then later on, we catch Dayon digging graves and burying the children as that lone home in the background burns. The children deserved a proper burial, he thinks, and he found it strangely cathartic to help them, as if he were reaching out to some younger version of himself. Maybe this was his own terrible way of making a difference. And after helping those dead kids, Dayon begins to actually feel hopeful. They asked for his help because they felt unsettled. And maybe he could take a lesson from them. Maybe he too could find some kind of peace if he were to ask for help. So he travels until he finds himself at the steps of the Sanctum Sanctorum, the home of Dr. Stephen Strange. And before Dayon can even raise his hand and knock, the door opens, revealing a scruffy looking Dr. Strange that appears to not have showered in weeks. But Strange addresses Dayon by telling him that the Sanctum isn't really open for business right now, although he finds Dayon fascinating, being inhabited by an infernal force, a very old and powerful one, prompting Dayon to ask Strange for his help. But Strange is no longer the Sorcerer Supreme, although he is curious enough to see what he can do. So he invites Dayon inside. And then once inside, Strange searches for a book that can help him figure out why the demon chose Dayon as a host. And in the book, Strange notices one of the monuments of horror that the demon is known for, but he needs to see one up close and personal before he can determine that they are the same. And he actually asks if Dayon could construct one, which pisses off Dayon, since he would have to kill someone just to satisfy Strange's interest. But instead, Dayon grabs Strange by his head and allows him to see for himself the works of this demon. He shows Strange the convenience store where he interrupted that robbery, and then the road where he discovered the truckers with a trailer full of kidnapped trafficking victims. And as he tries to show him more, Strange has seen enough and he breaks the link between the two and knocks Dayon crashing down back into the bookshelf, followed by a demand to never do that again. But then Strange asks Dayon, what if I were to tell you that you were wrong about the demon turning over a new leaf after bonding with Logan? What if I were to tell you that Bagher Ghul very much remains a citizen of Hell and a servant of Mephisto? But Dayon disputes this theory because the people that he's killed are evil. But Strange lets him know that if you want to grow a garden, you make sure the soil is rich with the right nutrients. And evil's a slippery word, one that's usually rooted in pain, fear, and hate, qualities that Dayon specializes in. I believe Mephisto has a plan for you and Bagher Ghul both, one that's already in motion. And if you don't put a stop to it, then that suspicion you live with, that you don't belong here, that you shouldn't exist at all, I'll make sure it comes. And so he sends Dayon on a journey, and the first step of his journey is the North Pole, where the demon first summoned him from his grave, where the Hellverine was born, and where something foul has now taken root. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the issue. So what did you guys think about the issue? And are you guys interested in this series moving forward? I, for one, expect to see the Ghost Rider show up at some point during this series, and maybe we get a rematch from when Wolverine was bonded to the demon. Or maybe even a team up. But what do you guys think we'll see at the former mutant base where Dayon was killed at by Sabretooth? And whatever other thoughts and theories you have about this series, you guys know I want to hear all about them down in the comments. And as always, if you guys enjoyed this video and this channel, and you'd like to support the channel, then you can do so by stopping by the Comics Icon store and picking up some Comics Icons merchandise, including the background music heard right here in this video, available for download. Or by joining the Iconic Fan Club channel membership, and there'll be a link in the description to join. But with your membership, you'll get loyalty badges, member shoutouts, and up to 20% off of Comics Icons merchandise from the Comics Icon store. And even a chance to request a video of your own choosing for me to post. Plus, we've got tiers to the memberships as well, beginning at just 99 cents. Or you guys can donate to the channel with a super thanks. And if you're not able to do any of that, then you can still help out this channel's future tremendously by dropping a like, share, and subscribing to Comics Icons for more icons in the comic book world. But ladies and gentlemen, it's about that time. I'm out.